You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
From Estero, Florida, this is the One Extraordinary Marriage Show, where being busy is overdone, romancing is fun, and scheduling sex has taken the guesswork out of wondering when you're going to get some. Creators of the 6 Pillars of Intimacy, I'm Tony DiLorenzo, your co-host, along with my beautiful wife, Elisa. From coast to coast and around the world, thank you for joining us. It's time to talk sex, love, and commitment. Give us a call or text us on the Hug Hotline at 858-876-5663 or send us an email to hugs@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. In today's episode, we're talking about how to create connection in your marriage over the summer instead of assuming that more time, vacations, or a different schedule will automatically bring you closer.
And there's a quote from Brene Brown on connection. She said, "Connection is the energy that is created between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued." True things right there. We're going to be talking about that in today's episode as we talk about connection over the summer. But first, we start every episode with a hug. And a hug is really an opportunity to celebrate you, to celebrate what you're doing in your marriage, to celebrate your intentionality. And this hug comes from an Instagram DM that we received that simply said, "I bought 2 copies of the 6 Pillars of Intimacy when they became available for my wife and I. It brought us back to our pre-Cana and marriage encounter experiences. It's just one of those things in life that reminds you, you aren't the only 2 nut jobs on this planet trying to make it work."
I love it. I think that's fantastic and awesome.
Well, and I think we hear that from a lot of folks who
Yes.
who listen to the podcast, who read the books, and are like, okay, like I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I think there was something we got this week even from somebody. Yes, we did. It was just talking about desire and how her husband has the lower desire. And she's like, I know I'm not the only one. And I shared with her, I'm like, you're not. We have numerous articles and episodes on desire, and here you go.
Absolutely. And, as we jump into today's episode, Tony said here at the top of the episode that we're talking about how to create that connection in your marriage over the summer, instead of just assuming that more time, vacations, or a different schedule are going to bring you closer. And, it's really interesting because, summer just kind of like, I don't know, at the 30,000 foot level, I think a lot of people think about summer creating more connection because you've got, the picnics and the barbecues and you've got the summer holidays and all of these different things where, it might just seem like connection should happen.
I think it's just the longer days sometimes.
That's a big part of it.
I really do feel like the ability for us to have these longer days, even those of us who are working all day long, because Elisa mentioned before we even started here that many of you are teachers, so you're off this time of year. But for those of us who are still just doing our normal day-to-day thing, I just feel like at the end of the day, you still have 2 or 3 hours of daylight, depending on where you are. And if you're far up north, like our folks in Alaska and all those places, man, they got hours and hours of daylight left.
They're coming into their, I think they are in their like endless, what is it, endless night season, I can't remember.
Endless days?
Endless day.
I don't know.
All the Alaskans are going to send me messages now. But it's true. We do have longer days for a lot of you. Your schedules do change. And, there can be, and this isn't necessarily a summer thing, but if you think about it, there are expectations that when there are changes that like external changes, that the marriage is going to change as well, that we're going to experience something different. And for a lot of you, it's true. We talk about the teachers, and I'll tell you why I know that a lot of you are teachers in a second. But if you have children who are in school, you don't have running around here, there, and everywhere and school schedules. A lot of you, I was actually just talking to some coaching clients yesterday, and they've already been on one camping trip this summer. They've got another one scheduled for, I think, July. And so they've got, these different trips. I'm talking to people who are doing road trips, people going to the lake. Some of you talked about sitting on your porch and just finally having a night where you don't have to be somewhere. And that's what summer starts to look like for a lot of you. And then the flip side of that is those of you that have older children, they might have all just come home from college. So now your house is more full. and louder.
You went from that empty nesting stage to now you have them back in the home, and you're now having to navigate that interaction because they do leave and they come back with their own intentions and expectations, and that can start to create some waves, you know.
I'm laughing because our older one has been gone for about a week now as we're recording this, and I know he's coming back, and it is that.
But
funny.
It has been nice with him gone.
I know it's that funny thing of like, we've missed him, but he's coming back, and it will be a disruption to life for a lot of you. And kind of like us, like work doesn't slow down. We still have our same routines. Heat can make some of you cranky. Mm-hmm. We know, because a lot of you, tell us that you would never move to Florida because it gets hot in the summer and that would make you cranky. So I know, right? And summer can be this really kind of tricky season for marriage, because more time together doesn't automatically mean more feelings or better connection, right? A vacation doesn't automatically create connection. Those of you that have traveled with your children or large groups of people, sometimes you do not get connection when you are on vacation, right? A family trip doesn't mean connection because you got all these extra people around. Being in the same house over the summer doesn't necessarily mean you're more connected. There's still this need for intentionality. You can do, talking to some of my folks that I've been working with, you can go on trips and still feel lonely.
Oh yeah, been there.
You can be sitting by two people sitting by a pool and not feel connected. You just are doing it with maybe less clothes on and warmer temperature, and maybe white sandy beaches, or a drink in your hand. So it's looking at this saying, hey, wait a minute, what do we want our summer to look like? Not just going, well, you know what, the calendar has switched from May to June. We're heading into summer. We'll just wait until it switches into July, and then into August, and then into September, and then we'll be like, hey, that was summer.
I just want to put a note here. As soon as you said June, I know we're recording this. We always record this earlier. We record this typically the Thursday prior to when it comes out.
Prior to the Tuesday. And what is this Tuesday coming up?
This Tuesday, not coming up, but this Tuesday when this releases will be my 53rd birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Aw, you're gonna get flooded with messages.
I get 2 days in June, by the way, because both of our birthdays are in June. Mine is the 2nd. Elisa's is the 20th. So I get June 1st, June 2nd, and then the rest of the month is Elisa's birthday month.
Well, that's true.
So that's why please celebrate me today.
Send him lots of love, post on Instagram, all the things. So, shameless plug for Tony's birthday as this episode is being released. And because our birthdays are 18 days apart, we never have 2 Tuesdays where we have to worry about that. But, as we're talking about this, yes, this episode releases on June 2nd. And, summer is coming. Or for some of you, summer is here. And there are going to be things that fall into your calendar, and your kids are going to need things, and you're going to have work responsibilities. But do you have a plan? Have the two of you thought about what you want your connection to look like this summer? Because we had to start having this conversation ourselves.
Yeah. And just like yourselves, when we're doing an episode of this nature, we have to be thinking about, okay, well, how do we connect this summer? What are we going to do to allow ourselves to not just, as Elisa said, sit in some loungers by the pool, reading our books and having no connection with one another? Because I think Elisa and I can attest that there have been times in our marriage that has happened.
Sure.
And so we have been talking about, okay, what do we want to do? For us, we love Southwest Florida. We do. We enjoy it. The one thing we have learned, though, midday, Southwest Florida, you better be inside or you better be in a pool. Typically, it can get hot. It can get humid. June 1st starts hurricane season. So that adds a sort of another little wrinkle. You're sort of watching what's going on, what's happening. We're praying that nothing happens again this year, like nothing happened last year. So thank you, Jesus, in advance. But for us, we were talking about, we need to get to the beach. We moved here to Estero. It's about a 30-minute drive to some of the beaches, maybe an hour if we go to Marco Island. And we did that last weekend. We went down to Marco Island. We took the morning and just enjoyed ourselves on the beach. But we're like, this summer, let's get out on Saturday mornings. Let's go explore some of the beaches. Maybe we're just going to sit around and hang out in the Gulf. Maybe we'll just find somewhere and we'll go for a walk. We have some work things, which for us is part of why we live the way we live. We get to go to Allure of the Seas. So for those of you who'd love to join us for the 6 Pillars at Sea Marriage Getaway,
or have already registered, we're going to see the ship.
Or have been registered, yes, we're going to go see Allure of the Seas. We're going to do a site visit. So that's a fun trip for us to go on over to Fort Lauderdale. We will be porting out of Miami when we do go next year. But we get to go do that. That's a half a day just on the ship, hanging out. We got some other trips planned. We're going to go to Nashville for a marriage mastermind with a number of other couples that we get to go hang out with, going to go see friends there. And even stuff here locally. We're going to go to the Keys, see some folks here locally. So we'll drive down to the Keys. It's about a 4 or 5 hour drive, but we're going to go down there and hang out and enjoy ourselves. So, and then there'll be the small things. Like we'll go to Chick-fil-A or McDonald's and we'll go get my iced tea, my unsweet iced tea, and we'll sit there and we'll just hang out and we'll talk. Elisa typically makes her coffee here at home now, but we'll go do those things. We may go to Culver's one night here and there and go grab an ice cream. We'll eat it inside, yes, because if we try to take it outside, it'll melt so dang quick we won't have time. But those are some of the things we get to do over the summer on top of many of the other little things that just happen here in our home. Our kids are older, so they are out. They're doing things. They're going out with friends. They're doing this. They're traveling themselves. So we have time for us to just relax with nobody in the home as well.
Absolutely. And, it's interesting. We asked you guys on Instagram stories last week what typically happens to the connection in your marriage over the summer. And, as we're talking about what you want this year to look like, it is important to reflect on what it typically looks like. And 50% of you said there's more connection. 16% of you said less connection. And 34% just kind of said, it sort of stays the same. And so I love that because I think there's so much variety, right? You have some that are like, and this is how I knew a lot of you were teachers, because a lot of you are like, I don't have to teach over the summer, or I'm a teacher, or my spouse is a teacher. And so all of the teachers, thank you for pouring into our children, and enjoy your summer vacation. But a lot of you talked about there being less stress, maybe because of jobs, slows down over the summer, or you have less to do with the kids, or all of those different types of things. And you can get into this place where you get to do more, right? I mentioned the camping. A lot of you talked about less rushing and less stress. And, those of you that have children, somebody even said less things to attend, like kids' sports and events, and more time to porch, sit, and talk.
And we have some dear friends who are teachers here, and they go on a missions trip every year. And we hear them talk about it in that connection of the team building. They're leading, or they're leading the group to the country where they're going. And you just hear that excitement and how that connects them and brings them closer together.
And really, so many of you, as you talked about these different things, you were talking about recreational intimacy, you were talking about physical intimacy, emotional intimacy, sexual intimacy. They were coming up in all of the comments.
I think sexual intimacy, I will just say for us, in the summer, the reason I like it, it's warmer, and you don't need to be under sheets and blankets.
We live in Southwest.
You still get under sheets and honey.
I thought you were going to say it's because I have a tan.
Well, I like the tan too, but I'm just saying there's less things less things that are having to cover you in the summer because it's warmer.
Fair. And that's those of you that are having connection, but not everybody does, because a lot of you did mention, your kids are at home. Summer is actually a busier time in your work schedule.
Yes.
You have heat that keeps you from wanting to do anything, and or that just nothing changes in your routine, and so it's just like, well, it's just another 3 months, and you just are kind of going through the motions for another 3 months. It's just hotter or sunnier or, whatever that might be. And, the reality is that if there's already distance in your marriage, summer isn't necessarily going to fix it, right? You have to be intentional about the time. You have to be intentional about what you want. And so the third question that we asked was, well, what do you do you want for your marriage this summer? And I think some of those answers are going to be really revealing. And, we're going to talk about that after this break.
Good sleep is everything. That's why Ollie's Science Back Support is made with a blend of melatonin and L-theanine for both kiddos and grown-ups. So when your mind won't switch off, you've got something that can help. Your racing thoughts and restless nights won't stand a chance. Find Ollie Sleep Solutions for the whole family at ollie.com. That's OLLY.com.
The most memorable gifts aren't found, they're made. Zazzle is a custom marketplace where you pick any product, a mug, a card, a tote, a phone case, and make it personal. A photo, a name, an inside joke. The kind of gift that actually fits the person. That's what 30 million customers have been coming back to Zazzle for over 20 years to find. Right now, save 25% on your first order at Zazzle.com. That's Zazzle.com. Make it zamazing.
We're back. And we did ask the question, what do you want for your marriage this summer? And, probably no surprise. One of the very first answers and responses that I saw was more sex. I mean, given one extraordinary marriage and our longevity and talking around the sexual intimacy, probably not a surprise. But other people said more connection, more date nights, more fun and laughter, trying new things, recreationally, trying new things sexually, having a weekend away without kids, being intentional outdoors. And a few of you are dealing with some medical things, and so this summer is just about healing and healing together and taking care of one another. And I think that's so important, like to be in this place where you ask the question and you don't just, go on autopilot. You're just like, well, you know what? It's June. Like I said earlier in the episode, it's June and then it's July and then it's August and then it's Labor Day. And there was summer. It's coming back and saying, hey, let's have a conversation. Honey, what do you want? What do you want our marriage to look like this summer?
Yeah, I think the thing that I hear a lot of is, I don't know. And it's because we need to shake things up. And I think a lot of us, after a while, life can just feel like it's Groundhog Day.
Oh, absolutely.
And we're getting stuck in these cycles of we don't have enough, we can't do this. The world is going to pot anyway, so who cares? I just had somebody reach out to me and go a little political sideways on me, and you could feel some of the desperation and despair. And I just want to say, sometimes we talk about light topics, and yet they can really hit a chord. It goes much deeper. There's something at the root of this that's causing you to go, who cares? And Elisa and I would encourage you, don't sit in that by yourself. Reach out to somebody. Go get help. We have marriage coaching here if that's something that you need. And yet for some of you, you may just need to step into your church and just ask somebody for help. Male, female, you may need somebody to just go grab coffee with you. They don't need you that you need that until you reach out. People don't know. Even for myself, I realize it. Coming here to Southwest Florida almost 2 years ago, people don't know us. I've had to reach out, text, and sometimes the text messages don't come right back. Sometimes it's a week later. It's okay. But I would encourage you, if you're feeling that right now, don't sit there in your own muck and continue to address it on your own. There are people out there who are willing to help. But more times than not, we have to make that first move. Just like we were talking about in the health episode that we did a few weeks ago. If you want to get healthy, we have to reach out to the doctors. Doctors aren't going to reach out to us and go, hey, are you okay? So I just wanted to share that.
Okay. So coming back to this, though, you've got to engage in the emotional intimacy. You do. Whether you're reaching out for help or you're just sitting across from your spouse and you're having this conversation of, what do we want? Do we want to get like ice cream once a week? Do we want to have, play
a card game?
Like, what do we want more of? What do we want less of? What would help us feel more connected as husband and wife? Like, these are the questions to start thinking about in advance of this conversation, and even, as you're sitting down, pick one or two pillars to strengthen.
Put your phone down.
Well, I mean, that would typically, for most marriages, probably be a positive.
It's what we hear so many times. It literally, we've said it many a times here too.
And if you put your phone down, you're going to strengthen your emotional intimacy. Mm-hmm. You have opportunities to strengthen your physical intimacy because you aren't holding your phone. Yeah, I'm not going to make this a whole, let's talk about the phone thing. But think about your pillars, right? You may actually sit down and write them all down: emotional, physical, financial, spiritual, recreational, and sexual, and say, which one or two do we want to focus on for the next 90 days?
Yeah.
Right? Like that's, you could start as simple as that and then have that summer rhythm, right? You've told us that you've got different changes to your routine. Some of you are in the same routine. What if there was one little, this is our summer marriage routine. And you just said, hey, this is the one thing that we're going to do every week or twice a week, whatever it is. You are you. You don't have to be Tony and Lisa. But could you implement a 10 or 15 minute summer routine to connect with your spouse? And as a coach, I'm going to say very likely you can, should you choose to. Mm-hmm. But I want you to get a vision, we're at the very start of summer. What could your marriage look like if you focused on making connection happen instead of waiting for connection to happen? If you were the one actively involved in that process, if you were the one saying, hey, let's go do this, let's grab an ice cream cone, let's road trip this weekend, because, like Tony, even though he doesn't drink coffee, he is a sweetheart, and he'll send me, different coffee shops around Florida. And he's like, this one looks cool. This one looks cool. And so I'm like, all right, well, let's pick a weekend and let's just one Saturday morning get up and go find a different coffee shop. Even if it's 2-3 hours away, let's just go. Right? Could you have a road trip routine? You pick it. It's not the Tony and Elisa routine. It's your summer marriage routine. But what will you do to foster the connection so that as this episode's released June 2nd, go 90 days to September 2nd? What does your marriage look like? What do you say about the last 90 days? About the connection, about how you're feeling about your spouse, about the memories that you've created, about the fun that you've had. That's totally a what can I do? What can we do moment.
Yeah. And as I look at this too, excuse me, remember, time isn't the qualifier for connection. Just because we go on a 2-hour drive doesn't mean we're connected. We have to choose to do something through that. We can be physically intimate, right? We can hold hands. Elisa can put her hand on my knee. We can touch one another. We can be emotionally intimate. We can, instead of just sitting there looking at phones or just listening to music or whatever we're doing, we can pick up Connect like you did when you first met. Maybe ask and answer a couple of questions. Doesn't mean we got to do it for the whole 2-hour drive. Mm-hmm. And yet, what if we took 10 minutes and just said, hey, let's answer and ask this question of one another? Of the 120 minutes we're going to be together, we took 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That closeness and connection can open up other things. Mm-hmm. And so it's even something that Elisa and I think about, and it's like our pool time. We look at it as an hour. An hour, great. If we want more, great. But it's an hour time. Let's get out there. Let's enjoy one another. There's some talking. There's some connecting. There's reading of books. Our pool right now is walk-in warm. So it's just it's ready to go.
That's a little phrase I coined about how I feel about our pool. I like my water walk-in warm.
It's walk-in warm. So the Gulf is that way too. But this week, as you begin to look at your summer and you start to think about your recreational intimacy pillar, because many of you are leaning towards that, what other pillar can you begin to strengthen this summer? Which one can help you get connected to one another this summer? And as Elisa said, what does it look like 90 days from now when you hit the fall and you can look back and go, we did this thing every week, every other week, and it drew us closer together. It strengthened our marriage so that we are creating that extraordinary marriage we desire. So go out there this week. Think about this. Write down your 6 pillars of intimacy. What are the 2 you'd love to look at this summer? And then take some action. Make some choices that will allow that to come to fruition 30, 60, 90 days from now. You guys have yourselves a fantastic week. We'll catch you next week. Love you guys.